The drunkard impersonations that earned Chaplin's success in the Carnot tours were part of the traditional pantomime repertory. In a French film made in 1911, we see the mime Severin in an almost Chaplin-esque comedy routine. Chaplin's roots lay here.
With each succeeding comedy, the tramp was growing more complex. Sentiment was beginning to percolate through the character. This became a problem because he was bound by the limits of slapstick. The solution came when I thought of the tramp as a sort of Pierrot.
What is a good gag? In a film made in 1900, we see the old William Tell routine. In 1918, Chaplin himself would shoot a variation of this gag with the famous British comedian Harry Lauder, in which he replaced the crossbow with a Colt 45. In fact, the film was never released or even finished. But he would go back to the idea with the sad old clown played by Henry Bergman. He undoubtedly thought that the problem lay in the kind of fruit used, so he replaced the apple with a banana. Suddenly, a tired gag was rejuvenated, and Chaplin transformed it into a pure nonsense sketch. In October 1925, Chaplin returned to Los Angeles after spending 2 months in New York and went to work at his studios on La Brea Avenue, which he had built in late 1917. For Chaplin, the La Brea studio symbolized his independence. Nostalgic for his native England, he'd had the studio offices designed as a row of old English cottages. In his studio, production methods were those of the artisan. The presence of a small, permanent crew gave Chaplin the flexibility he required to move back and forth between work on his script, shooting, and editing. Following Chaplin's indications, Danny Hall would do work sketches of the future sets. These art director's sketches were very similar to the modern-day storyboard and showed how Chaplin, even before beginning to work out his scenario, already had a firm idea of certain scenes. During the construction of the sets, Chaplin and his assistant Harry Crocker went off to work on the scenario. At the time, Chaplin didn't write a real scenario. For the circus, he went back to the basic story idea he'd used in a famous short, The Vagabond, in which Charlie comes to the aid of a young girl brutalized by a villainous gypsy chief. In the circus, the tramp, pursued by the police for a theft he didn't commit, is hired by the proprietor of a traveling circus. In both films, we find the same romantic triangle and the theme of Charlie's thwarted romance with the heroine. Chaplin would always remain nostalgic for this golden age of silent cinema when he wrote with a camera.
Everything was so free and easy. No literature, no authors. All we had was an idea on which to build gags. Then we would work out the story as we went along.